The looming introduction of a pay per mile on electric vehicles expected in Rachel Reeves' November budget represents one of the most contentious fiscal shifts in years. At first glance, the Treasury announcement or the Treasury argument sounds reasonable as fuel duty revenues collapse because of the rise of electric vehicles. The government must find new ways to fund road maintenance and public services, yet beneath the language of fairness lies a far more dangerous proposition, a policy that risks slowing Britain's electric revolution and punishing those who made the transition in good faith. Under current proposals, EV drivers could be charged around 3 pence per mile from 2028 on top of existing road taxes. This is VED Plus scheme, which would require motorists to estimate their annual mileage in advance, paying upfront based on that projection. The Treasury insists this isn't about surveillance, there'll be no GPS tracking, but rather a fair contribution from drivers no longer paying fuel duty. The logic is clear enough. Petrol and diesel drivers pay roughly £25 billion annually through fuel taxes, while electric drivers pay nothing comparable. But fairness is a slippery word in fiscal policy. This new measure risks becoming, as the AA President Edmund King put it, a poll tax on wheels. The historical echo is deliberate. The poll tax of 1989 was a well-intentioned but politically disastrous attempt at uniform fairness that ignored proportionality and ability to pay. Reeves's per-mile charge risks a similar backlash. For the average EV driver covering 12,000 miles a year, the charge would be roughly £360 annually. For high mileage company car users, the cost could exceed £600 a year, not insignificant, particularly when set against the rising cost of insurance, electricity and vehicle maintenance. For fleets and leasing firms, the administrative headache will be immense. Because most electric cars in Britain are company vehicles, fleets will have to estimate, pay and reconcile these charges for thousands of cars, and this adds cost, confusion and bureaucracy precisely when the government claims to be supporting business growth. Salary sacrifice schemes, one of the key drivers of EV adoption among employees, could become less attractive, stalling the market at a delicate stage. The fleet industry has warned repeatedly that timing is everything. James Court of Octopus EV noted that introducing a per-mile tax now, when EVs make up only 4% of vehicles on British roads, would be self-defeating. It would raise little revenue, but a great deal of resentment. The growth of EV ownership is already slowing because of high costs, patchy charging infrastructure, and inconsistent government messaging. Add a new tax, and the risk is that drivers simply delay the switch or revert to hybrid and petrol alternatives. Moreover, the Treasury case that this is about fairness ignores the fact that EVs already face rising costs. In the spring, the government removed their exemption from vehicle excise duty. Cars over £40,000 now face an additional £425 annual supplement, while even standard zero-emission vehicles pay £195 in tax. Combine this with public charging rates that can exceed petrol prices per mile, and the so-called advantage of going electric is eroding fast. This is a classic case of mixed messaging. Ministers exhort drivers to go green, then penalise them for doing so. As Jenny Buckley of electrifying.com put it, you can't drive the EV transition with one foot on the accelerator and the other on the brake. If the government truly believes in a net zero transport future, fiscal policy should reward early adopters, not punish them. The economic argument for caution is also powerful. Britain's EV industry supports thousands of jobs in manufacturing, logistics and software. As Kevin Green of Logistics UK observed, increasing the cost of doing business in this sector is counterproductive and risks putting the handbrake on growth. For small business owners, plumbers, electricians or delivery drivers who operate vans, the impact could be worse. Range anxiety, charging downtime, and now higher taxes all conspire to make EV adoption unrealistic. There are, of course, legitimate fiscal pressures. Fuel duty has been frozen for 14 years, costing the Exchequer billions. The Office for Budget Responsibility estimates that Reeves must find £2.7 billion in additional revenue simply to balance expectations. The proposed 3 pence per mile charge might raise £1.8 billion by 2031, but at what cost to environmental progress and public confidence? A fairer solution would be gradual integration, maintain low benefit in kind rates for company EVs to encourage uptake, while exploring a universal road pricing model across all vehicles once EV penetration reaches 40 to 50%. Indeed, the long-term issue is structural. As Steve Gooding of the RAC Foundation observed, the era of oil-powered motoring is ending, and with it the fuel duty cash cow. That requires creative fiscal architecture, not a knee-jerk reaction. A reformed road pricing system could eventually replace fuel duty entirely, charging all vehicles, electric or otherwise, based on emissions, congestion, and actual road use. But that must follow years of consultation and technological preparation, not rushed pre-budget fix. Politically, Reeves's move is risky. The phrase poll tax on wheels could stick. It plays directly in Conservative and Reform UK attacks, portraying Labour as anti-motorist and out of touch with everyday drivers. The Chancellor's already signalled necessary choices, but necessity must not become a euphemism for short-sightedness. Fairness must extend beyond balance sheets. It must consider the broader social contract between government, citizen and climate responsibility. The pay-per-mile proposal embodies the worst instincts of Treasury thinking. Short-term revenue over long-term strategy. A fair system for all drivers is desirable, but this is not it. To tax the green transition before it's even reached scale is to risk stalling both the economy and the environment. The government should resist this temptation to fill the fiscal gap at the cost of the planet's future, or it will find that what began as a small 3p charge could end up costing far more in lost trust, investment, and credibility.